got a glare on my glasses.
Oh, you'll never get rid of that.
Glasses too.
I have the same thing.
Guess what?
I wouldn't know what you guys are
There's one guy
talking about.
without glasses. That one guy is Taylor Bliss because we're talking about the SideQuest Live, your weekly, maybe more than once a week journey into the world of video games. We're coming at you for a second time this week, which is very nice. And we're going to have a lot of fun today talking about video games and video game news and games we've been playing. And yeah, it's going to be a good day. As usual, I'm this guy right here, Dolly Domofsky. Joining me right over there, the guy that you actually saw him earlier this week, Taylor Bliss.
Yeah, it's right there.
Right there. Right here, right, the person below me, that sexy mofo. Hi there, Rexy. I'm like staring at my crotch. Hi. Hey, you look nice.
I swear I am not in Dally's crotch.
And over in the corner over there, maybe in Taylor's crotch, I don't know. You're kind of down in that area. Is SideQuest. We're kicking off really well. We're
Such a good start.
Yes, it's a great start. Before the show started, we were talking about the different things we were drinking. Taylor kicked us off with some good beer that he had. What do you have on there, Taylor?
Oh, mine's already gone. But it was a Harpoon Big League, which is a hazy IPA.
It is good IPA season right now, I gotta say. That's my time of year. Zach, what are you drinking, dude?
I'm drinking a Sonic hard seltzer.
Wow.
What?
Sonic? Holy shit!
Wait, what?
Awesome.
Yeah,
Sonic makes hard seltzer. What?
It's like you get the burger and get the alcohol as you drive away. I love that.
Yeah, nothing like getting a chili dog at Sonic and having a hard seltzer on the side. Wow.
heartburn.
And the
Yeah.
gentleman, Rexley, the gentleman below me, what are you drinking?
Repping the Midwest with some New Glarus Spotted Cow Farmhouse Ale. This is like the best way I've heard it is like this is like the beer you drink after a long day because it's just like nice and smooth and it doesn't like kick or anything. Like it's just like a nice drink. But you can say that for all drinks, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, I have some Truly that we have left over. Truly pineapple. We have left over from July. We had a party in July, so I'm like, might as well polish it off now. So cheers, bottoms up.
So that's 4 potential ad sponsors.
There you go.
That out there.
Come at us right now. See, you're making all this money.
That's some free advertising.
Hey, it's been a week. We're going to start with some news. It's been a heck of a week of news. Taylor and I covered this a little bit. We've both had a little bit of time to ruminate on it, and I'd love to hear from the both of you this massive news. And that's, I mean, it's not everybody was talking about it. Peppa Pig, my friend Peppa Pig.
I knew it. I knew
let's go.
it.
Let's go. I've been waiting. I've been waiting all week.
All week. No. Xbox, Microsoft has purchased Activision.
Dude,
Well, they're in the process of purchasing Activision, I should say. Yeah, that was kind of a nuke, a megaton that dropped. Taylor and I talked a lot about it. What? Taylor and I talked about it, but I'm very curious to hear what you two gents have to say, what your thoughts are.
Okay, so being the person that posted all the Blizzard news over the summer and being like up to date with everything, I will say this is probably the best outcome for some like mega corporation, like the good conclusion, like someone above them to consolidate everything at the bottom. So from that point of view, I'm happy. And also from the other point of view, like with games and stuff, I'm happy too. I'm excited to see what they allow these devs to do who have been stuck making Call of Duty games for a decade, allow them to make something else, or allow Blizzard to be away from Activision and have different leadership and have different people involved and maybe have a return to form with WoW and StarCraft, like just to see what they can do by pumping more creative new players into their leadership and getting rid of people they need to get rid of. But yeah, I'm excited. I hope it ends up being good overall for everyone. Despite me always talking shit about Sony, I don't want them to be excessive like Sony is to Microsoft. Like I want Microsoft to play nice and be like, hey, like here's what we have to offer, and let's put Game Pass on PlayStation and see what happens, type of thing. Yeah, that's kind of my thing. I woke up that morning at 7. I saw it on my phone. I was like, "What
It
the
was so
fuck is
it was
this?"
it was so wild to wake up, start work,
Yep.
not in the field of anything related to games, and be like, "Oh, sorry, I have to take a break, I guess." For my job.
Me to my core. Like I'm like, it's wild. I was driving to work. I had to pull over. I was like, "What the hell is going on, dude? This is crazy." It's just like
I thought it was fake at first because I was the first one to post it in the Discord,
Yeah.
the news story, and I was like, "Did I? Why is anybody else posting about this one?"
it is
But yeah.
wild news.
I think
like,
all of us were just, it's still kind of in shock at the news.
Yeah, trying to see that it's not tweeted out from hard drive to begin with, like,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
but like, yeah,
yeah,
waking
Yeah, I
up
mean, you
to
could
hear
totally
that
see
shit-
you could totally see a hard drive article. It's like, Activision sells itself to Microsoft to get to
Yeah.
evade lawsuit, right? Like, it's totally a believable satire news article.
Yeah. I'm just mad it wasn't exactly 69. Is it
69 million. 69 billion, yeah.
Yeah,
Round it up.
it's like 68.7 or whatever. Like,
69 billion to close in 420 days.
yeah, like come on, like there's me.
So-
I understand it's a company, but there's
Yeah.
some potential there.
So that the number really was massive. When you look, I'm just looking at a list right now on Newzoo of the top 25 companies based on game revenue. Their list has Tencent as number one with about 8 billion a year, followed by Sony with 4.14 billion a year. Apple at 3.6 is just money coming off the game side. I'm amazed Sony makes so much off the game side because they only release one game a year, and the other ones.
It's so wild.
It's
so
the
crazy.
hardware, man.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's hardware. It's hardware. And then Microsoft is right after Apple. Microsoft's at 3. You have Google because Google Play Store, right, at 2.8. NetEase, which is up there. Then Activision Blizzard, which
If
is,
anything, NetEase is the one that surprises me.
yeah.
Yeah, of all that, yeah, like
Yeah.
the rest of my expect NetEase is like really NetEase like.
I'm sorry, this is by quarter, not by year. Sorry, by quarter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, quarter two.
Yeah, it's crazy,
quarter
though.
quarter two 2021. So, but it's those numbers probably hold pretty steady. And you got Nintendo in there as at number 8, and then EA comes in. So one of the top. Who else you can't really buy NetEase because they're a massive mobile NetEase could basically buy any other company on there. Tencent probably owns half the companies anyways. And then you got Electronic Arts and Take-Two. And it's just insane to see what Microsoft threw their cash at.
Yeah, you gotta imagine too, like if any conversations of a similar nature happened with Sony.
Yeah.
Like were they gonna do the same thing, or was this just completely out of the blue? Like I mean, obviously everything that's happened in the last few months with Blizzard and Activision has been kind of, I think has been I like that tweet that people have been like, been retweeting or like making variations of, where it's like, when Phil Spencer said they'd take a serious look at their relationship with Activision Blizzard, like this is an over exaggeration of that, considering that relationship and just buying them out completely. But I mean, like it just makes you wonder, like, was this just because of what happened in the last few months, or is this just was this a thing that like has been kind of slow cooking for years and years? We don't know.
I was ruminating about this, but like I find it hard to believe that it's a discussion that started only after news started to break.
Sure.
In regards,
Yeah.
like there's no. I mean, was it a formal talking point? Maybe not. Had the discussion about like we are interested in possible acquisition talks. I am sure that those words had been spoken prior to the news stories breaking, and it probably didn't reach any sort of stride before that. And then once it happened, it was like, oh, by the way, we're gonna do this now.
Yeah,
That's my guess.
I think businesses like this are always having conversations like, hey, like so I think they had
Waiting for the catalyst.
Yeah,
Wait.
they had a conversation prior, and then their stock plummeted, and Xbox was like, "It's cheap now. Let's go."
Yeah.
It's cheap,
Yeah.
air quotes, but their stock plummeted, and they said, "Hey, we'll buy you out for this much." And they said, "Okay," it's because all they care about is money at the end of the day. So if someone offers them that cash, it's done. Like so.
Yeah, they saw it. They saw an opportunity to like Activision was in a bad light. They were pretty much up against the corner, and Xbox was like, or Microsoft was like, buy it.
when you want to look at it a fully pragmatic way, I'm not saying this is an ethical way or a good way, but the way that it works out for CEO, for shareholders, and for board members is they look at what the offering from Microsoft was at the dollar per share. They consider how long it was going to take them, if they could, regain it to that level of dollar per share on the market, and said it's either going to take too long or it's not possible, and this is an avenue that makes more sense to get that return on that investment. And that's comes down to the reasoning of making that choice. 100%.
What you said only makes somewhat of a sense to me because I've seen the recent season of Succession.
Yes. Thank you.
Like,
Fantastic season.
I'm half joking, but a lot. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of elements that go into play, but it's just.
I mean, you look
crazy.
at. I'm looking at Statista. Statista has the market capitalization as of November 2021. Activision's market cap was at 75 billion June 2021. By November, it had dropped to 47 billion.
Yeah,
it
was precipitous.
It was. There is genuinely a drop that is attributed to kind of the shifting landscape. There's always the sort of the turnover. This is also the chip stuff was really kind of hitting everybody. Nintendo dropped from 70, almost 75 to 53. EA dropped from 42 to 35. Take-Two dropped. One company went up from 52 billion in June to 75 billion in November, and that's Roblox.
Oh.
Of course, Roblox.
Yeah, so
the company that came out of nowhere and is now the biggest kind of sort of independent-ish gaming publisher company on the planet. But we won't get into that.
Child sweatshop.
Now Microsoft should buy them.
So I would love to be in that, like a fly on the wall in the room where they were discussing this, because whoever hashed out this deal had to have been ruthless about it. Like, hey, like you're not going anywhere. No one trusts you anymore. Like you're like the only way you can keep doing what you're doing is if we buy you. Like that's where that's where they were. But the proposition that Xbox has is, hey, we don't have chip shortages really against us. We have PCs, we have Xbox Ones and Xbox Series S's that can play games. So we can
they have the biggest card, actually. Game Pass.
Exactly. That's where I was gonna go. Is like you can get around a lot of issues by teaming up with us with Game Pass. It could have even been like a strategic merger, like, hey, let's merge and like you can be Game Pass exclusive, blah blah. But they didn't. They were like, let's buy them straight out because of all the talent that Activision has stolen away from so many studios over the years. There's so many people who have made amazing games in all those places. So it's really exciting that they bought all these people. I would have loved just to be the fly on the wall to see what they like actually said.
I think it's really interesting, and I think we were kind of joking about it in the Discord. But a lot of these properties and studios like Raven and all those that are now back together with sort of their brethren. That Bethesda, Bethesda had taken the Wolfenstein license from Activision. And there's a canonical Wolfenstein game that Activision put out, and now that's officially all part of the same company and umbrella. There's plenty of other games.
I wonder how many people are like still within each organization from before the split.
There's a lot of potential legacy like people in there and there's
a lot of folks that are in now in Microsoft that we're in Bethesda, but we're also at one point in Activision, and so they're all together again.
And here's the thing that Phil Spencer always talks about is he wants his studios to share. He always talks about we want them to share software and information back and forth and systems. So think about the next Fallout having a Call of Duty engine or something like just like something like crazy, but like that's what's so cool about Xbox Studios is they allow these studios to share things back and forth. And it's a big cooperation. Like, hey, this team's good at this, let's send that over there. Hey, this team's good at this, let's send that over there. So the possibilities that they have are huge. Like, there's a lot that they could do, a lot of first parties they could come out with, a lot of interesting remakes like Hexen they could do, which I want to happen. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. All these potentials.
So for me, one of the questions now, and a lot of people were talking about it, is what does this mean for Sony? What does it mean for Nintendo? What does it mean for other companies? I mean, as big as this is for Sony, you almost have to wonder what companies as well, like EA and Ubisoft are thinking, because they've signed deals with Microsoft for their streaming platforms, for their games to be on the service in kind of a different way. So, I mean, what's your take on the whole Sony side of things? Where do you think that's going to head to?
My biggest thing has always been, and this is coming from a very like tunnel vision view, is that the biggest thing that Xbox had going for it and still has for a long time is Game Pass. And like you're comparing that with like PlayStation Now, which is like for now. Yeah, for now. Like, I mean, like that's crazy. Like, it's just the accessible, like the way that they've kind of marketed that service and how it's so cheap and how there's so many games that like you don't even care if like X titles are like circulating out of it. They're just kind of pushing more and more big titles in. Like, I know the big like the one that kind of at least for me was a big one this week was like the Hitman 3 finally got out of like Epic Game Store and it's now on Steam, and more importantly, the entire trilogy itself is available on Xbox Game Pass for anyone to play. Like that, all you have to do is pay what $10-15 a month to just kind of play that. And it's crazy because there's nothing that Sony can really do, like from my point of view at least, like aside from like the really strong list of first party titles, to kind of really combat that huge library of like things that you can play on the Xbox platform and also on PC for a really like cheap price, but then again, people are still wanting to get a PS5, myself included, even though I have it. But like, I think to me it's a lot about to do with Xbox Game Pass, but maybe you guys have more of a better look on it than I do.
Yeah, I think so. I think Sony is in a tough position. They don't have anything really. They're up against a stacked like deck of cards or whatever. Like their only thing is their first parties. And I think personally, after a decade of having these first parties kind of being the same games, they're in a position where they need to change it up. They need to find a way to combat Xbox that has a vast array of games, but they could also rest on their laurels and say, hey, we have these cinematic experiences. We're a movie company, like first and foremost, and a gaming company second. They could do that if they wanted to. I just don't know what they could do to actually combat Game Pass, like unless they actually made a Game Pass equivalent. But then what could you put on Game Pass besides your first parties that people would get that for, like, and how much money would they have to bite for that to happen? Because Last of Us 2 was like $220 million. Like putting that on Game Pass alone, on a Game Pass like thing, would be a huge cut. And a company like Microsoft can do that because they're huge outside of gaming. Sony is also too, obviously, but I don't know if they'd be down to like say, hey, we'll take a $200 million loss this year or whatever to put out Last of Us 3 or whatever on our Game Pass exclusively. I don't see them doing that Sony now, but I hope they decided to change up the way they go about things, because they're pretty stuck in their ways, and they have been for about 15 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Taylor.
I mean, I have thoughts, but I wasn't saying anything yet.
Taylor said, "Yep,
Okay.
I agree."
Yep. No, I mean, we've talked about Game Pass escaping the confines of an Xbox piece of Xbox hardware for a long time now, right? We've talked about it for maybe the last year, maybe the last 4 years. Who knows? We've talked about it for a while on the show. This play to pick up Activision, I mean, all of us really feel like
cool.
This game looks really cool. Really feels like it is. Oh wow, they got the stealth.
Oh dang, I might play that. That's like we're looking at this going like that's available on Game Pass. Like we can.
Yeah, that's
I'm pretty sure everyone on this call has Game Pass. We can play this shit right now.
Project Wingman. You're gonna put Game Pass everywhere on the Somnia Plus.
Yeah.
For Microsoft. So, I guess where I'm getting with this.
That's a good game too.
There was this fear that it's gonna be a monopoly situation with Microsoft and Call of Duty. Part of me begs to differ a little bit, only because their League of Legends is arguably bigger than Call of Duty. Fortnite
by far
as an overall IP. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know how much money they pull in, but yeah, I mean, as an overall IP, League of Legends is bigger.
Player size,
Fortnite is player size. Fortnite is
Mm-hmm.
massive because it's on more platforms, even though it's not on iOS right now. And
that's just funny to me.
Well, it is, yeah. And Game Pass is going to end up being on televisions. I mean, Microsoft is going to end up signing a deal with LG or Samsung to say we got Game Pass is going to be built in from now on. It's going to be an app that works on your, the streaming iteration or something with some hard drive is going to be built into your LG TVs. And we only need like 3 gigs of space or 4 gigs of space. We're going to be backloading stuff and whatever. But I really feel like that's where Microsoft can say we're not a monopoly, because we are putting Call of Duty everywhere to the point where the TV that your PS5 is plugged into has Call of Duty, even though your PS5 doesn't technically have Call of Duty. So I think there's going to be that side of things that that they can argue that it's not a monopoly anymore. There are so many different bigger game companies out there. My daughter's playing Cookie Run, which is a massive mobile game right now, and it's pulling in like
it's so huge, it's so weird,
it's so gotcha, and that's bigger monthly than Call of Duty potentially. And so it's just an insane. Video games are an insane market right now, and I don't think picking up Activision necessarily is monopolistic. At first, I thought, it is megaton, it is like earth shattering, but I don't think it's as big as people think it is anymore.
No. I've seen a lot of arguments saying like, the government needs to step in. There's a monopoly going on, blah blah blah. It's going to hinder the creation, like the creativity of video games and stuff like that. It's just like, just chill out, dude. Like, it's AAA games are going to stay the same. They're not going to change. They're going to get your cool, like 3 or 4 really cool games a year, and everything else is going to be the exact same 5 games we've had the last decade. Like, it's not going to change.
AAA publishing is self-stifling on its own. Mm-hmm. There's nothing to do with whether or not they're consolidated under one company or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like we'll remember this in a year, like that. We'll have, like, whenever they do decide to do BlizzCon, if they do BlizzCon again, like, we'll like talk about it as like a Blizzard entity, and like, but still in the back of our minds, we'll know that it's owned by Xbox, but or Microsoft will like.
Here's as an aside, do you think they're gonna do one? You no longer have to do just a BlizzCon, because you have BlizzCon, you have the Bethesda, QuakeCon, you have Minecon. Just do everything all. I mean, there's your E3 if you just have those Microsoft properties, right? Because
maybe. I think that they valued the building sentiment of each individual
brand.
And fan community. At least that's what it's always felt like to me. I mean, if Activision let it keep going, or if Activision Blizzard let it keep going, I don't know why Microsoft would stop it. To me,
Rex, you were going to say something? You were in the middle of.
No, I was just kind of thinking that, you know, like, to the point of like the worry about like the thing being a whole like start of a monopoly. I don't think it is, but if anything, it just gives Microsoft a more stronger position when negotiating. Like I was just reading something today about like don't worry, like so like they still want to do Call of Duty for PS5 or you know or for like like a partnership with Sony, and it's like, well, yeah, of course that's a great way for them to kind of keep making more money. Like they're not going to immediately like yank it from the PS5 or at some like or at any point down the road, because that's a huge moneymaker for them, even if it's on a different platform.
It's here's a comment from Playland. You simply can't be Monopoly. Nobody is stopping you being able to make games. PC will all be free to publish. What's really interesting to me is I just took a real quick cursive look at the numbers, and Warzone makes over 5 million a day.
Yeah.
In some of its higher peak days, it's making over 5 million in one day, which is more money than Call of Duty makes. You know, when you think about it per timing wise. Warzone is really where the money thing is.
So here's
this will stay on PS.
This was the other point I was going to make is that here's the one neat trick to dodge monopoly status. Call of Duty becomes
that's the name of our podcast this week.
One weird trick to avoid monopolies. Guess what? Call of Duty becomes Xbox exclusive. Warzone stays multi-platform.
Yeah.
Warzone clearly from an Activision and from a developer, Treyarch, or for whichever studio they had making the game that year. From an Activision standpoint, Warzone had become completely independent from Call of Duty proper. They are not the same thing. They don't. I think they have independent clients to launch. They both install at 280 gigs.
Oh god.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know that's one of the reasons why I uninstalled it, is because I literally didn't have enough space for it. But yeah, I mean, Warzone is its own kind of mini monolith for that stuff. And if you're gonna get recurring revenue from other platforms, it's going to be from the Warzone, your kind of games as a service, rather than your yearly or bi-yearly regular, installation of whatever next Call of Duty is.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking about this the other day, but Microsoft could potentially like recoup the cost of what they spent on this acquisition in like 8 years, 9 years. Like if sales go really well, if they keep staying the same, they are Warzone or even more, and Call of Duty or even more, it's like they could make everything back and more. It's crazy. It's just like it's a really it's insane amount of money to even like perceive of.
What's really kind of interesting, and Taylor, I think you brought up a really good point. I mean, Warzone is in Warzone's going to stay. Warzone's going to continue to chug along money, and now it's going to have the infrastructure from Microsoft. It's going to have the teams from Microsoft that are able to support it. And you really can make Call of Duty. I mean, I almost see that as being more of a real split that way. I mean, you have Apex Legends on Switch. You don't have Titanfall on the Switch. You don't need to have that. You have Apex Legends. And the same thing with Warzone. I'm sure Microsoft will still support the legacy Call of Duty game multiplayer stuff on PlayStation. Right? There are people still playing it. It's not like that's going to end, but I could see them going to no longer an annual Call of Duty, because you don't need to, because Microsoft isn't actually worried about selling individual games as it is about bolstering great games on Game Pass, getting the quality built up, right? And so they're able to take, instead of Call of Duty being every other year or every year, you can see it going to every other year with more emphasis on originality. Maybe you really split it up and make Modern Warfare its completely own thing, separate from these World War II Call of Duties, other kind of stuff, and really kind of push it separately. But then, like you guys said, take those Beanoxes, take those Toys for Bobs, and let them have fun again. With Beanox made Spider-Man games before Sony took that over. Remember, Beanox had
that's right.
Spider-Man games and a
What
bunch
a
of
throwback.
Transformers games.
Let Double Fine make the next King's Quest.
King's
like,
Quest. So I think this is for in terms
didn't Tim and Legend didn't he make a tweet about that, or he was like, I forget. He put out a tweet because I think that was that was a big thing on Twitter after the King's Quest comment from Spencer came out. Yeah, he was like, let us call our own encores or something like that, because so many people said about the King's Quest moment. But anyway.
Okay, so back to Call of Duty. Here's my idea. So you know what they did with Halo? They released multiplayer free to play. Do that with Call of Duty, and just update it every couple of months, and then have campaigns come out every other year for $60, or not even do a you could just not even do that, because the money comes from multiplayer and Warzone. So that would be the way to do it if they wanted to just
Halo
keep the
Infinite
machine going.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it. A great way to do it. Well, I think it's going to be real interesting. This actually formally won't be able to take place until fiscal year 2023, right? I think there's certain things in place. So it's like next June or something crazy like that is when this thing can finally formally go through. So that because of Activision's tie-ups and their contracts and all that kind of stuff. Not like Bethesda, where Bethesda was announced and then 2 months later they were fully integrated, something crazy like
seriously, regulators finished their approval, and I was like, okay, we're in, we're done. Thank you. We've been upgraded.
The paperwork to get this done must be probably how many Prima strategy guides tall do you estimate this to be?
I like the Prima strategy. Well, I mean, you got to think about it. There's Call of Duty has sports leagues that are tied into cities, and they have to get all those contracts redone now under Microsoft's names, and so there's a lot more than just
Overwatch League,
which
is a whole ass
StarCraft,
StarCraft. Yeah, so there's a lot more. By the way, maybe this will actually help bring StarCraft back to popularity in the West. You don't think so? A real StarCraft 3? Come on.
I think that there are bigger problems with it than the fact that Blizzard was no longer autonomous or lacked resources or something. I will say, though, in my opinion, Activision Blizzard King was not the best steward of MLG, B, competitive esports in general. I mean, they picked up MLG, I think, in the preceding years leading up to Overwatch League. And it was probably to pick apart either licensing deals or specific talent that MLG had. Aside from the first inaugural year of Overwatch League, I can't say that it's been of particular notable example. It's not great.
Even
and
that
MLG's been a waste.
Yeah, no, Overwatch League was notoriously rushed, and also against the team's wishes. Like the Overwatch team didn't want the game to be a competitive game; they wanted it to stay. Like Jeff Kaplan said, we'll let the community decide maybe after a year or so, but it was months into it, let's get this going. And it they had to change how they did patches. They had to change how they balanced the game because Activision, Bobby Kotick, wanted he wanted a league, and he wanted to do it right and have all the cities and do it the most complex way you can actually do a league. Yeah, it's just dumb.
And you could tell that even though Kotick didn't make Warcraft 3, which spawned Dota, and which spawned League, spawned Dota 2. I mean, look at the way that Warcraft 3 Reforged was
Yeah.
done and released. Even, I mean, listen, it still revitalized some of the custom stuff scenes, but everything is done with the stipulation that every custom game that is created and made using Warcraft 3 Reforged engine is sole proprietary ownership of Activision Blizzard King.
You can't make League of Legends again.
Yeah, because I feel like this is like a big codec influence of just like he just is really pissed, even though he wasn't there when Blizzard made Warcraft 3. He's pissed that he didn't get the big esport game.
You know, it's also kind of weird to think back on it, how they bought the Tony Hawk people like to make Diablo 2. Like it's kind of like, oh yeah, our last one was shitty. Let's buy the people who make the good ones. Like that's just like it's like a clear logic now, knowing like that's just like, oh okay, cool, yeah. Like
I'm curious too, and I have like no skin in this game, but I want to know what you guys think in terms of World of Warcraft, because it's been like you don't have to it just hasn't been good in the past like few months, years, however, and I'm honestly not sure because I don't play WoW, but like I don't know what, and like if there's any kind of, what do they gain? Like what does WoW kind of gain from having this? Like is it just they have a better like leadership to kind of help steer them, and that could be it? But is there anything else though? Like, because I'm thinking from like a Microsoft and Sony perspective, right? Like Square Enix got Final Fantasy 14 we put on a console. I mean, people play on a console, but I played on a PC. Like, are we expecting some sort of shift in the same way to the Xbox? Or, I mean, like, is there any?
WoW.
What can Microsoft do with Xbox or with WoW?
So my guess when this came up when Dally and I were talking, my guess was that they're not going to do a goddamn thing with it, because Final Fantasy 14 it walked in the footsteps of Final Fantasy 11, which had already paved the way here for putting an MMO on a console. There were routes that had already, there was game plans, there was blueprints showing how you do it. And all they had to do was do it again. I say all they had to do as if it was easy. They literally had to fucking scrap the game and rebuild it.
Game development ever.
But WoW has been out for 16 years or 15 and a half years. It's grown so far beyond the point of being able to consoleize it, in my opinion. I just don't think it's possible.
You can use a controller, but it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, even from Final Fantasy 14's perspective, every class is built around a 4-button schema, basically, to account for the fact that you use a controller for everything.
Sure. Yeah.
Rotations for some stuff in WoW are like 6, 8. Or more. I just don't see it.
But is there anything else that
changes
with it though?
What do you mean?
Like, is there anything else? Like, is this acquisition going to do anything for WoW? If not going to console,
I think it'll finally be like, hey, let's make a WoW 2. Like, let's just make a new game. Like,
you think they'll scrap WoW and make a second WoW?
Hope so. That's what I hope they'll do. Because I feel like you have Final Fantasy 14 that's already doing WoW better than WoW. So take it back and reevaluate that whole thing and just do something new. Like, so I would hope they would just do a WoW 2. And so then they could target console and PC, which is smart.
They target Game Pass specifically,
Game Pass,
Yeah. Oh, man.
Because Game Pass doesn't have an MMO unless they buy Square Enix, but like
ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, that's not happening. But like, unless or they could do like a mergers and acquisitions thing. You know, like let's like merge our branches and whatever. But yeah, no, it's I would honestly, for Blizzard as a whole, I want them to scrap everything. Say, hey, don't worry about that old stuff. Let's focus on something new. Except like Overwatch 2, I would probably assume it's way further along than anything else. But yeah, I just want them to reapproach the MMO genre because it needs something different. Like the genre has reached the pinnacle.
Yeah.
There's nothing else that can happen for how MMOs are now, unless it's a gacha game or some Korean game. Like that's the only other offshoot of MMOs that we have.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Like
WoW needs its own offshoot. WoW needs its Genshin Impact style offshoot or
it needs
something to make it different that you can transition fans to. WoW needs its Fortnite Battle Royale mode from the original Save the World mode. Remember, Fortnite was a whatever, a more of a typical. Does that even exist anymore? The Save the World mode.
It's there. It still gets updates. Like
I still remember when Fortnite was really early and not quite as big. When they were talking about Save the World going free, I'm like, God, I can't wait. I'm excited about that.
Same. That was like the thing that got. Well, I was like, when I was trying for it, I was like, man, I like this Save the World like mode. This is kind of cool.
You guys remember Cliffy B was like right at the beginning of the Fortnite stuff? He's like, we're gonna do this game called Fortnite.
He was he went on stage and he announced it and everything. Yeah. It's crazy. I bet he's pissed. I mean, besides owning part of Oculus, he's probably pretty pissed.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a really interesting year for this, especially with all the rumors with game consoles and new products and old products and launches and the conversations taking place with Sony. Phil said he already spoke to the folks over at Sony with Jim. Was it Jim Ryan? Is that the guy's name? Already spoke to Jim Ryan, but we're gonna see what comes out of it. It's gonna be a real interesting next year. I will say this: I think this is gonna put a delay onto Sony's Game Pass announcement, unless whatever it's called, Spartacus, whatever. Unless it has something major built into it, like, hey, if you use our version of Game Pass, you not only get all the old PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 games, but you also get Final Fantasy 14. You also get Final Fantasy 16. You also get all the. It's the only way.
What are you?
Wasn't that
spaced out?
Yeah,
wasn't that the rumor this past week too? When people were like, "Oh, why am I seeing PS3 listings on the PlayStation Store?"
No, I just think Sony has to make a splash with their Game Pass, and it's not going to happen after this news. After this news, I'm feeling it's going to get delayed unless they have something big that they can throw into it. Like what I'm saying is like Final Fantasy 14 or something big enough. Because what are you going to say? Like, hey, you can play the old crappy Jack and Daxter game from PlayStation 3 or whatever that version is, and but forget about Call of Duty anymore. You got
unless they're gonna put Metal Gear Solid 4.
Dude, they don't even have Crash anymore or Spyro. Like, what are they gonna do?
So PlayStation has a good question. Sony is unlikely to put first-party games day one on any service. It did. It put MLB The Show day one on Xbox Game Pass, and that was it's the biggest. It's the highest sold version of MLB The Show of all time.
So I would the only correction I'd put to that stance is that they were unlikely. And they definitely were unlikely. They definitely were hesitant. I think that they were warming up to a different ethos. They've been stumbling into PC releases, seeing them sell as much as we knew or believed that they would. But I mean, there was also the anecdotal stories that came out that wasn't it the internal dev studios were the ones that had to convince Sony to be like, hey, we should really put these on PC. I mean, that's the other thing about whatever the Sony, we'll just call it Sony Game Pass, that's been rumored so heavily. What does it look like as far as cross-platform is? Because if they're not going to match day one first party, if they can't even match day one first party on console, it's dead in the water. It's dead on arrival, 100%.
Yep.
And if they're not going to actively attempt to get those games out onto a secondary market, whether that's streaming in whether it's direct install on PC or streaming on PC at the minimum, again, I think it's dead in the water. I think
that's
a
what I was saying.
console only approach is not going to be enough.
Yeah, because I was saying they're like, I don't think they're gonna bite the bullet on making a $250 million cinematic game and say they want on our Game Pass thing. They're not gonna do that unless their Game Pass thing is already making as much as Xbox Game Pass is, which is not going to for maybe a half of a decade. Xbox knew that and they took that chance, and now they're here.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, 4 years ago, it was like, "Congrats, you guys got Crackdown 3," and
Yeah.
like that's what what Game Pass lived on. And then they just kept signing indies for 1 year
Indies and old
stints.
games.
Yeah, I mean 1 year stints, 2 year stints. We literally watched stuff come and go. But you know what? I played those games and beat them before they left. I'm like, I'm not.
It very much was like Netflix in its infancy, because Netflix in its infancy was like, you got Netflix and you're like, okay, what am I going to watch? Three's Company reruns. That's all they got. And then Netflix said, well, really the end goal is for us to produce our own shows. And they produced like two or three that were kind of nowhere. And then they had their first big hit with House of Cards. And all of a sudden the floodgates opened and they went day one with new content on Netflix. Now Netflix is arguably the biggest streaming service on the planet. And the same thing's happening with Microsoft. They realize we can get third-party games on Game Pass. We can get them on there. It is more advantageous for Microsoft to publish more of their own games on Game Pass. And now it is. And now they can actively say, now they can actively, and what's great now is gamers were a different lot than TV streamers, I should say. Is that a TV streamer? Is that a word? Now getting your game onto Game Pass, because Microsoft loaded it up with all this awesome content from Bethesda, from new games are coming out. They mentioned day one release. Now Activision, if you're an indie title and you get your game on Game Pass, that is
rolling
huge. Huge for your studio. Huge.
Right, which that's why Microsoft has been, every time they release a press release, it's like, oh, by the way, 25 million Game Pass subscribers currently. It's every time there's a big PR statement and there's a new milestone, you're gonna see a mention of Game Pass, even if it is relatively irrelevant to the overall statement that they're making. If there's something to be said about Game Pass, they're going to say it because it's so broad that you can always, PR speak it back to be relevant. But yeah, I mean, if you're an indie studio, and it seems like the deals through Game Pass have been relatively, I'm not going to say that like they're being benevolent on it, but that the deals have been good enough to seek out in terms of business.
Yeah.
But
having guaranteed money is better than no money.
Yeah.
Especially as an indie. And
it's a big deal for smaller studios.
Yeah. Epic has helped that, and Game Pass has also helped that. I played so many weird small games on Game Pass I never would have played because it's on Game Pass. Yeah. And I go out and talk about those games. I've seen there's this Metroidvania game that everyone loved last year that barely got talked about, but towards the end of the year, people started to talk about it like, hey, this game was slept on. It's on Game Pass. Go play it. And I saw it on my timeline. All these reviewers start coming out and posting things about this game because of Game Pass. Like, it's crazy. Like, I played a game about packing up your room in different stages of your life called Packing, and I loved it.
You talking about unpacking?
Unpacking? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it. Like,
Game Pass reminds me of, you guys remember Summer of Arcade way back in the day, which was awesome. It would just be one indie game a week that they announced release.
Yes.
It was a blast because everybody grabbed. I mean, you got Castle Crashers. Everybody waited for those 4 or 5 those 4 or 5 indie games. Was a big deal. Now that's sort of become what Game Pass has sort of become that, because everybody flocks to whatever the indie, like the 3-4 new indies are each month, whatever, on Game Pass. I think
That
it's
was cool.
It's a great deal. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, it's also just because this jumped in my mind because I don't know why the way you were describing it, the PlayStation used to have their monthly PR boost when they would talk about what games were coming free with PS Plus.
Yeah.
And Xbox rode that coattails because I think, if I recall correctly, PlayStation did that first. Xbox backed up with it with games with gold. Afterwards, they followed that PlayStation model. And ever since PS5 and the kind of withering of new content for PlayStation 4, those games have been growing increasingly more desperate looking, I guess is how I describe it. I mean, there's not that much left, and if you're a publisher that put a game out on PS4, you're not exactly looking to. I mean, I guess maybe it might be nice for a little bit of revenue recuperation, but those deals aren't exactly as easy to strike, and people aren't as enthusiastic about it. And we're past the heyday where Vita games were also included on it, and that which was actually pretty sick. And
Indies,
dude, the free games for Vita for a while there were actually pretty
good.
They were solid.
Like Final Fantasy Tactics and stuff, I think.
Yeah.
If Sony re-released the Vita right now, do you realize how many people would flock to it immediately?
But anyway, so Microsoft was, I guess, where I was going with is that Microsoft gets to recapture that with what's coming to Game Pass.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, there's that excitement there that is new and fresh, even though we've literally seen this in 4 different ways before. But for whatever reason, it's like, oh yeah, this is good. I think, but it's because Microsoft has the position and the power to draft in, Hitman 1, 2, and 3. I mean, we're seeing stuff come into this type of service that wasn't showing up before.
I think what makes it exciting is the fact that it's so on. It's on PC. That alone that's
true.
There's so much stuff. PC gaming is so varied compared to console gaming. So having it on PC is you can get a simulator game and you can get the best action game you've ever played just from some random dude. That's what makes it so exciting, and that's what makes it good for indies. Is hey, here's this storefront, we'll pay you however much, and it's great. Versus Sony, who I've had friends who worked with Sony do indie games, and those deals are notoriously pretty bad. They didn't get good support, and they didn't get any dev kits and stuff. Versus Xbox and indie, the dev kit is going to be your PC. It's going to be a PC game. That's huge for a whole different scene versus AAA. That's what makes it exciting for me, because it's every month there's a game I've never heard of on Game Pass, and I get to try it out. That's worth the $15 and potentially $20.
Completely agree. Well, we've essentially.
I had breaking news. Actually,
breaking
there is a LinkedIn profile of someone working at Bethesda, and Elder Scrolls 6 is officially in pre-pro. So go ahead.
Finally.
Ooh.
And I went and checked their
title. Yeah.
I went to their LinkedIn and they changed the description, but someone screenshotted it and posted it. So yeah.
Nice. That means Starfield is nearing completion. We can expect Elder Scrolls 6 after Fallout 5.
And the Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim on your next gen console.
Yes, there you go.
Dude, give me the Ultimate Edition on Game Pass. So I don't have to buy it for the 4th time.
Damn. Let's see here. All right. Well, I think that's basically it for news. There isn't a ton of anything else. Everyone just kind of they just let this big iceberg float into the ocean, and everybody just kind of
dared.
Yeah, everyone's like, you know what? Forget it. We're not going to mention anything this week.
I got money betting we'll have another. I don't know if this scale, but we'll have another big news thing down later in the year, and then someone will tweet like, "Remember in January when Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard?" Like,
I think the big news thing would be that E3 is officially over.
That's true.
That big news.
I will. I mean, I will say just to put out my prediction piece. The one thing that I guess that we'll see is there's going to be a little bit of doom speak once people realize that there's going to be heavy regulatory pressure on this deal that will coast away when it turns out that they're just going to merge anyway and it's going to be fine. The reality is that this doesn't really push out any of the existing players in the space. This doesn't push out Nintendo. This doesn't push out Sony. This doesn't push out, Epic Games, the other it doesn't push out Steam. Like nobody, it doesn't force
Sony
any.
thinks that they can do that though.
I don't think that they do actually think that they're doing it, but
I
just wanted to lay it with that.
Do you think Sony ends up picking up a company? I don't want to say in retaliation, but do you think Sony looks at?
I don't think they do.
No.
I don't think they have the balls, to be honest.
if they did, it'd be like a company that like really this is it would be like this is really your response to that, like
it would be like Sega or something.
So here's the thing: is that like again because of what we were talking about with Microsoft and Activision, they were probably already in talks. If it happened, it's because Sony and this other company were already in talks. Like, there's no way that anything is going to happen in any time. Yeah, in a time frame that if it happens so soon that somebody is going to say, "Wow, I can't believe that this was their response." It's like, dog, this wasn't a response. Mm-hmm. They just were happening to be doing it at the same time, and Microsoft closed first because the partner that they were working with ended up in a worse financial situation first. That's it. And if it does happen, it will probably be Capcom. That's my guess.
These things take months of. I agree with you. It'll probably be Capcom, and I think they would probably. And I think I posted it in that one little opinion piece I did. I think if anything, they would buy IP from Konami. Just buy Silent Hill, buy Metal Gear from Konami's not doing anything with that stuff. So I could see them dropping some coin. And actually,
they could even just buy video game console rights. They don't even need to buy the whole IP. Konami's not making any consoles or any console games. They're not. They're just making pachinko machines. We know what the deal is.
Put the Metal Gear Solid games on PC and you'll make some good money. Just go ahead and do that.
Well, there's only one that's not, right?
No, wait.
A lot of them aren't.
They took 2 and 3 off of digital storefronts.
Oh, they did? Okay.
So there's only one, which is like an old ass port. There's 5, and then there's 2, 3, and 4 that you can't play 4 on anything but the PS3. By the way, which is crazy. Yep. But
which is why I was saying that whatever service PlayStation comes out with in terms of PlayStation streaming service, if you don't make it so that people can play Metal Gear Solid 4 on a different console, then you have failed. You have missed the true opportunities available to. I mean, that's just going to be. I'm not saying that that's the reason why it would fail, but if they can't secure that, it is indicative of what the ethos is that they aspired to with their creation of their platform, which will probably indicate what I think the success of it would be.
Yeah. Like the fact that you have to, if you wanted to play all of the Metal Gear Solid games, if you really wanted to get a full scope of that, you would need a PlayStation 3 and a PlayStation 4. You would need 2 different consoles to play an entire series. Like
Nintendo
that's
GameCube.
crazy.
And a PlayStation 3 and a PlayStation 4.
Yeah. Oh, for twin snakes.
Yeah.
Sony's big retaliation, if you would call it retaliation, right now would just be to say, hey, you know what? We're re-releasing Metal Gear on PS5, and we've got some upgrades on there or whatever. I mean, they literally will just pump out a bunch of their original games or older games and popular ones and throw them in there. So,
Metal Gear Solid, the director's cut.
Put Bloodborne on PC.
Oh man,
Just a
They're not.
suggestion.
They're just. They're just not. They're not gonna do it, man. They're not
Just a
gonna do it.
suggestion.
Let's.
well, oh god,
There's tons of
everyone
people
wants
that
it.
want to play
It's
it. Maybe
it's not
why
gonna
don't
happen.
you do it? No, we have to put Uncharted on PC first. That's obviously going to be like whatever.
To go with the movie.
Yeah, I mean, makes
Right,
sense.
that movie is
but-
still coming, right? The Oscar Isaac
Yeah.
Metal Gear movie.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
no. They're talking about Uncharted,
Uncharted.
with Tom
Uncharted,
Holland
yeah,
and Marky
Dude,
Mark as Sully.
Mark. It's,
They're
still can't
creating,
believe
like,
that the
all
cast
four
of that
games.
movie.
that's like I can't believe it. Like of all the people,
I have
They're-
zero.
was Tom Selleck
Yeah.
and Tom Selleck
My
stunt double
God,
not
Tom
available?
Selleck
Like
would've been awesome.
Tom Selleck's stunt double.
yeah,
I'll take anything, man.
I'll take anything but Marky Mark. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to. There's no other news. Let's just move on to what we've been playing. And I'm curious what y'all have been playing. Let's start with. Let's go clockwise with Rexley, the person above me. What have you been playing, Rexley?
Nothing too crazy. We know we're about a month away from the crazy amount of games that are coming out, including, Horizon Zero Dawn, Elden Ring. More on my end, Destiny 2, the Witch Queen expansion. So we've been
Okay.
prepping a bit there. We're finding out more and more every week through the weekly This Week at Bungie post about currencies going away. We just found out that the day one raid will start on March 5th, which is the week after the expansion comes out.
So it's not a day one raid anymore. It's a
Day one raid is in there's a chance to there's contest mode and stuff, but
Okay.
I prefaced that wrong. But yeah, you basically are gonna have a week of grinding to do if you want to be able to participate in
Nice.
the new raid for 24
kinda-
hours, because there's a contest mode that's plugged into the first 24 hours where the enemies are a little bit higher than the max level you can gain for that season. So if you aside from bragging rights, obviously you get a nice special emblem if you do it. So maybe it'll work for that.
So I'm curious. So the raids in Destiny, they don't wait a month or so like Final Fantasy 14 does, where they give you time to grind out everything. It's just
Nope.
hey, here's a week, and
Yeah,
have fun.
they've done it a week or 2 weeks at the most, but
That's bad.
but the funny thing is when they announced it this week, and they I can read it word for word, but they were basically saying don't call off day, don't skip school, don't call days off work. You have plenty of time in the evening, which is crazy because there's a lot to kind of consider in terms of because we have a seasonal artifact that has certain perks that could be really useful and usually isn't in
God,
these
gives me a
raids.
headache.
Yeah, there's a lot to kind of keep up on, and I took a 3-month break from it because of the delay and whatnot, and I'm fully back into it. In addition to some Factorio, which for the nerds in the house is
Oh boy.
is lovingly called Cracktorio. If you didn't know,
I think
so-
Aaron was really big in that one too.
It's a game for
Rest in
nerds.
peace,
it is a game for fucking nerds. I'll tell you that.
It
Yeah,
is
it's
like game
crazy.
for nerds. See, he was talking Destiny 2, Zach, and you're you couldn't wrap your head. This is what it sounds like when you guys talk Final Fantasy 14 to me. It's I'm just
I was like, why are the devs being so mean? What are they doing?
no,
I mean, it's not I'll say that the raids in Destiny are not savage level content.
No.
They're it's not like safe zones the size of a pixel. It's at the end of the day, it's just shoot this thing, work as a team, and
how wild is it that if Bungie had stayed with Activision?
oh god, yeah.
What
a world.
Again.
Maybe that's why they left. They saw
Maybe
they heard rumblings.
They knew.
So you're
We don't
you're
wanna
plugging
go
Destiny
back.
2 and Factorio.
Yeah, they end up back at Microsoft, and then they develop Halo again.
They walk in the same building as 343, and they're like, "We got this. We got this. You guys can just sit back."
How many
down."
hours you got into Factorio?
What does Steam say right now? I have a very horrible 90 hours.
Oh, that's it.
A good 70 of that was probably this week. I managed to kind of like get some work done ahead of time this week, and it was just like, should I just do Factorio? And then like 4 hours passed by, and I was like, wow, this is
That's like half the time of what I typically play for a JRPG on the Switch.
yeah. This is compared to like say like Destiny 2, where I have over, I think I'm knocking on 1,100 hours in now. So
No, it's awesome. That's awesome.
Factorio is just like it's like that class you skipped in college. That's what that game is.
yes, that is exactly what it is. I have a good friend of mine. He's a DevOps engineer, and he showed me a video the other day. It's like a 4-minute video. I was like, dude, check out this system I've got. That's like a timer that like counts in increments, and then when the increments reset, there's like when this needs to get picked up and this needs to get picked up, and I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to walk from like point A to point B and get this thing to here, and like you're doing some like programming shit inside of a game for the sake of automation.
For the sake of automation.
Yeah. So that's it.
Cool. What have you been playing? Well, first of all, I know what you and Taylor have been playing together because I was watching some of the streams. I'm gonna let you guys go ahead and talk about this one.
Yeah, I mean it's the only one I've been playing. So
This game's
Monster
good.
Hunter Rise came out for PC, and
Nice.
it is it is good. I'm gonna get to that. It's so crazy that they made Monster Hunter Stories 2 a day in simultaneous release on PC, but not Monster Hunter Rise. It's fucking mind-boggling, dude. Maybe there was a contractual agreement with Nintendo there, and they just were coy about it. I don't know. The game was fine on Switch. I enjoyed it a little bit. It is a game that like had to be not on the Switch hardware to truly be properly enjoyed.
Let it breathe.
Yeah, it needed so much more than what the Switch could provide to it. It's actually incredible that the Switch can play it as well as it does. I feel like I say that about a lot of things on the Switch.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's probably the best Monster Hunter game, I would say.
Nice. Wow.
It's all because of Monster Hunter World for pumping millions of dollars to Capcom so we can make the best Monster Hunter game.
Yeah, it's funny because I still see people that are like, yeah, but it doesn't do this that World did. It's like, yeah, but dog, it's good.
Like World is the different one. Rise isn't the different one. Rise is a continuation of like the original formula. Mm-hmm. So it's like people say, well, World did this. Is like, yeah, to appeal to American audiences. That's why they did that. Now this one's like, you know.
I mean, I will say World got me into Monster Hunter, and I mean, I really liked Rise on Switch. I mean, you're like, I didn't know there was like is it like a day and night difference on PC versus Switch?
Yes,
performance wise, yes. I mean, it's just like it.
Okay.
Just unlocking FPS out of whatever the 30 to sub 30 cap is on Switch, and then all of a sudden I'm going at like 140 frames on PC, and it's just like it's just like it already feels good because like it's a well-tuned Monster Hunter game, but then like it's like buttery smooth because of FPS increases, and it's just like it feels so good to play.
Like the game is, as the community refers to it, is out of beta because the first couple of the first couple of huge patches in the game are still fixing and tuning things and adding things. And now this is 3.5, I think is what it is. And it has all the content that they plan on having in the base game, all the tunings, everything that you could put into this game is there. So that adds a lot. Like there's so much more content in this base game that you would get from buying.
Dude, you walk up there. There's a cat on a box, which is your DLC downloader, of course. Anyway, so you go and you talk to the so you go and you talk to the cat, and you're like, all right, give me all the DLC, and it's like, okay, there's 7 pages of DLC content, and you just fucking download it all at once, which is all of the new monsters and the new hunts and all that stuff that they've added in over
events like
time.
the Sonic the Hedgehog event, the Okami event, the Mega Man event, the Capcom event.
Listen, I mean, you can do a couple of missions and then turn your cats into mini Sonics, and then they literally speedball behind you, and if you feed them catnip, they eat the Chaos Emeralds and turn into Supersonic. Like, I don't know, man. What else do you want
and on the
from a
level,
game?
Yeah, so the event that you do is on one of the main levels, and they play City Escape, and you have to collect rings as fast as you can. So City Escape is playing while you're riding your dog.
You literally drop into the game, and the first thing that you hear,
speed of sound.
yeah, and that's literally the first thing that you hear is rolling around at the speed of sound. Is you start the level.
Oh my god!
And then you can
Yeah.
ride.
You've convinced me. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna finally get this on PC.
And then you can ride.
I mean-
Amaterasu from Okami.
I gotta say,
That's wild, man.
what Capcom does with their games, release them on a console first, get people to buy several million copies of it, and then re-release them on Steam 6 months, 8 months later, whatever, or PC, I should say. That is a money-making thing because you guys both double dipped. Right?
Yeah, but I won't do it again.
Little boy.
You won't do it again. You'll wait.
No, so here's the thing. They're not going to do it again.
Yeah,
They've already said that.
No.
They've said PC is their main focus from here on out.
Sure.
So
Oh, what? So they're not gonna. Are they still gonna go on consoles? Or are they gonna?
they're still going to go on
are.
consoles, but they're not going to miss the PC market again, because what they're worried
Okay,
about
that's good.
is failing to capitalize. Because at the same time, yes, Dally, they do get some double dipping, but the problem is that you fail to capitalize on simultaneous PR event for the main release of your game.
Yeah.
And the PC market is growing too much and is
Sure.
too valuable. If they're worried about capturing PC market down the line, you capture that with sale prices. And sure, you're yeah, but that's not $60. Yeah, but the volume of sales on sale prices on PC is too big to be ignored. We've seen the stats on that for years at this point. Yeah, I mean, it's for whatever reason they didn't believe that was the case for this game. I don't know. Monster Hunter World did extremely well on PC, considering the absolute kind of shit attitude that they had for it, releasing every single piece of content many months after the original console versions. But
that's a huge thing. Is Monster Hunter World, they put out content and then months later it'd be on PC. So now all the content is the same content on the Switch version is the same content on the PC. But when the expansion comes out in a couple of months, they're releasing on both platforms at the same time. So they're not going to have to develop two different things.
Yeah.
And it's because of the Resident Evil engine or the Reach for the Moon engine or whatever it's called. It's because of that. But
the portability between the two.
Yeah. Besides all that, the port of the game in general is amazing, because the port for Monster Hunter World is doo-doo.
It's not great.
It's a stinky port.
Performance is an issue.
Yeah,
Still,
this one's good. It's a good port. Whoever did them, I think it's the people who did the Monster Hunter Stories 2 port, because that port is really good. It's
Did
probably
that
the
launch
same,
on
same
PC
people.
and Switch at the same time? Yeah.
Yes.
So
No wonder you were mad about it, Taylor.
Yeah, so that's what I was talking about with my frustration, is that Monster Hunter, because Stories 2 came out 3 months or however many months after Rise.
Yeah, it was 3-4 months after Rise.
And
4 months after Rise.
So obviously they're two different teams, two different pipelines, etc. But they still share the parent IP, and it's just a weird thing to have done. It's just so weird. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, they were on an engine where they could port it. They could have done it.
They could have done it.
They should have done it. But anyway, yeah. I mean, suffice to say, the DLC or the expansion is going to drop and I am not going to be buying it for Switch. So
It's a Sunbreak, whatever that is, or
I forget what it's called.
yeah, no. If you got it for PC, that's where I would definitely, I would pick it up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting my PC Switch at some point in Q2 anyway. So
There you go.
Just out of curiosity, what weapons do you both favor in Rise?
I'm currently playing Sword and Shield.
Okay.
I play the hammer.
Hammer. Okay.
Hammer is fun because in this game it has 4 frames of invincibility when you change stances, so you get to like jump through fire and stuff. It's fun.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that game, dude. Like, I always say this every time Taylor and I play together is like, whoever did the animations on this game and the hitboxes deserves a raise, because like it's the most intricate game. Like everything is so
nuts.
precise. Like I could be under a monster's like body and swinging at it, and he'll be doing an attack, but the hitboxes are so perfectly laid out that I'm just able to like stay under him, or I'm able to like perfectly dodge a claw by like a pixel. Like it's nuts. And all these games are like that. Like all the Monster Hunter games have these like crazy things, but it's like a work of art how precise some things are. And then how crazy the game gets too. Like there's a fight that Taylor and I have done multiple times that's really fun, where he like dive bombs and like shoots laser beams and stuff, and it's really cool.
I remember finally learning how to play Monster Hunter way back in the Wii days, by the way. Remember what was the Wii Monster Hunter Tri?
Oh, what, Monster Hunter Tri?
Yeah. I played.
I have to look up. I have to look up video of Monster Hunter Tri because I never had a Wii.
Dude, imagine having to move between areas and waiting for a load screen. What? That's so like.
Yeah.
I was watching old clips. It's like, how you chase after a monster have to load while you chase after him.
So, what I did learn from the Monster Hunter games there was that I learned that it wasn't just like a hack and slash, just kill till they swing till they die type of game, and that's how I had been playing all the Monster Hunter games. I owned like 4 of them, and it never clicked until maybe it was like towards the end of that one, and I think it was one of the Generations games on the 3DS. I was like, oh shit, that's how they're rhythm puzzle. You have to solve the actual battle. It's not just and every weapon you use has a completely different method. Like
fight's always different.
I was a dual blades for a while, and I was the great sword, and I think I haven't tried Sword and Shield yet on Rise. I'm going to try that next, but I was staying really traditional and really attack focused, like quick attack focused, and it wasn't working for me because that's not necessarily how to play the game. So,
the other thing that Rise, I mean, not that I want to turn into a giant Monster Hunter discussion, but the fact that Rise did meaningful changes to movement capabilities within the game. While making individual maps single load in just large environments, which World had also done, right? So it's not like fully brand new, but being able to there's a animal called Palamute which you can ride, which is just a dog, but then you also have these wire bugs that you can tether
that
to.
Movement was so cool.
Mm-hmm. It's just fucking sick, and makes the game so much more accessible. Because I'm watching a video of Wii gameplay right now, and like it looks. I mean, I will say, coming from like old, the more 2D stuff, it's just like it looks like it would have been really cool, but it also looks slow as shit. And I just I don't think I could go back, man.
The games were a lot slower back then because it was a port of the DS or the 3DS
PSP.
or whatever it was. DS.
So that was the one on the PSP.
Was it okay? Yeah, it was a port of that, which was by itself was already a slow game. So they definitely have improved over there. Although what's really interesting is that the Monster Hunter games, they haven't been. They've been evolutionary tweaks and adjustments to the games over time.
Yeah, always.
And yet,
It's like Tekken.
and yet, Pokemon is evolutionary tweaks.
Oh shit. Okay.
Just kidding.
For the record, by the way, I'm a Lance main.
Lance is really good. I gotta start.
I might try. I actually might try to see if I can do Gun Lance for Rise though.
So here's what's so cool about Monster Hunter is playing solo is fun. Like but like every time you fight something, it's different. Each time there's something different, and you're always solving things on your feet. The way Dolly put it is it's like a rhythm puzzle game. Like I never thought of it that way, but it really is. But the way the game changes when you play with a friend is so drastic. Like when Taylor and I play, like Taylor uses the sword and shield. He can cut off tails and cut off limbs and stuff. And I have this big ass hammer bonking on their heads trying to knock them out, or hitting their legs trying to knock them over. Like versus if I'm playing by myself, I'm gonna be using my highest TPS skills. But when you add these things to a team, it's so interesting. It's such a really like I just want to see the design doc and how they design these things, because like there's so many synergies between everything. It's just a beautiful game. Like from design, gameplay, it's just
I wish I had a book. Like I wish they had a book for Monster Hunter Rise, because that would be pretty badass to, the making of Monster Hunter Rise.
I always like the Japanese like when Japanese devs make a game, they always do like an art book or like a design works thing to go like it doesn't come out at the same time. It comes out down the road, but I always love buying those because they're just so good to look at. Like to go for it's like every Final Fantasy, it's either like a major update or like expansion has it, and I always want to get it because it always looks so good. Just gotta see where they go to like but yeah, to your point, like it looks like like Monster Hunter gameplay looks like chaos to someone who doesn't know what's going on, but like
it's not.
It looks, but like it's coordinated. Like yes, I'm tanking it, but there's my friend with the insect glaive flying into the air trying to get like the tail, or like someone with the crossbow on the far edge trying to like get some range shots in. Like there's a weird synergy that looks like chaotic, but actually there's some tactics going on at the same time.
Yeah, it's and I think the coolest part in Rise is the way you can mount monsters and fight other monsters. Like it's just like so cool. Like it's just cool. Like when you're like in the middle of a fight and you're getting your ass whooped, and some other badass dragon just shows up. You're like, oh fuck! Like now we got to fight him. But then you can mount him because he gets hit by the other guy. You're like, cool. Now it's like.
What's crazy is that like so I haven't played that many Monster Hunters of previous iterations, and that feels like completely natural to me that would be a thing that would have always been
never in it, which is
like I was like, wait, this hasn't been in it before.
Yeah, I mean, like it just makes complete sense. It feels like it flows in with the rest of the game completely normally.
Yeah, it feels like, and it's so dynamic too. Like you can have a hunt where you don't even encounter that, or you can have a hunt where you encounter every other monster on the map. Like we had one last night. We were fighting this Kezu thing, and he just kept running into the other dudes. We were like, "Come on, man! Like let's just like wrap this up." He just kept trying to like leave, and he's running into other guys. It's like, come on, dude, let's go. And it's just fun. It's just funny. There's also a comedy to it too. Sometimes it's really fun. And if it was easy to make these types of games, there'd be a lot of them. But there's people who have tried to copy them fail, and they don't.
It's only Monster Hunter. It literally is. There's only Monster Hunter.
There's God Hunter or God Eater. Yeah, God Eater.
God Eater.
Dauntless, and they
Dauntless.
both suck.
Dauntless.
Yeah. Monster Hunter is the Dark Souls of Monster Hunter games.
Yes, it's like Destiny 2 and Dark Souls combined. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Give Monster Hunter Rise on PC. It's flowers. You get your flowers.
So I've been playing another game actually. I've been playing a mobile game.
Ooh.
Since there's a bit where I didn't have internet over at my new house. I was playing games on my phone. I started playing the Skullgirls game on my phone.
Oh,
The
the fighting
Skullgirls,
game?
the gacha, yeah, it's like really good.
Okay.
It's like a full-fledged fighting game that just happens to be a gacha. And they're really like they give you a lot of currency to get characters and stuff.
Wow.
And you're not even like restricted. Like if you get like a shit character, you can. It's a fighting game, so you're able to actually like fight and like win the fight if you're
Downloading it
getting your
now.
ass whooped. It's just really fun. It's really well polished, and it plays amazingly well. Like it plays like the console game, and the touch controls are really good. It's just fun. Like I've just found myself playing it on my phone. Definitely check it
It's
out.
called Skullgirls Fighting RPG.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
great.
Okay.
I've been playing that. And the way they also will give you like a really good character, but they're also aware of that. So they have challenges and levels that say you can only use 2 bronze characters or 2 silver characters or whatever. So they'll restrict you as you're going through the story. So it's really fun to like play around with different characters and different things. And yeah, and there's also like a competitive mode and raids and a bunch of stuff. It's cool. That's fun. And besides that, I've been playing the new Yu-Gi-Oh game that came out
Man,
2
that
days
blew
ago.
up in my
The
circle.
dual game?
So yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! This is the first actual digital version of the Yu-Gi-Oh game. They have the mobile version called Duel Links, which is a completely different card game format. It's not the
same.
actual game. So this is the real format that is actually exceptionally designed. It's a very well thought out digital version of the game. Yu-Gi-Oh! As a card game is very complex for good
Yu-Gi-Oh!
and
Master Duel.
yeah. So
Yes.
for good and bad
Downloading that
reasons, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is very complex. But the game does an amazing job of teaching you those mechanics, but also making them easy for a viewer to understand what is happening. So it's like has really good visual design that other games like Magic the Gathering Arena, Runeterra, and Pokemon don't do. It allows it for a spectator to realize, oh, that's something big. Like that's something big happening because of this animation, because of this sound, because of the way it landed on the board. So it's just like really cool to see them kind of go after this because they want to make it the main competitive version of the game. And what they do is really cool. The way you get cards the normal way, like you get currencies and stuff. But what you do is you pull from packs. But once you get a card from the pack, you can pull those specific cards. So if you're saying like, oh, I want to build.
Oh shit!
So like if you want to build like a boxers deck, like a battling boxers deck, if you pull a battling boxers from the main pool, you can go into that. It's called a secret pack and just choose the battling boxers archetype and just keep pulling those. So you can just build your deck. And you don't really have to worry about pulling from the vast majority of all the cards in the game. So yeah, it's pretty neat. So there's people who have been able to just build full-on competitive $500 decks for free because of that system. They give you a lot of currency, and they give you enough to buy the battle pass too. Even from like the first tutorial that you do, you have enough to buy that if you wanted to. So yeah, it's free, and if you want to know what Yu-Gi-Oh is, and just
Downloading
check
it
it out.
now.
Like
Yeah.
it's cool. And the multiplayer is kind of weird. It's very Japanese. It's like you have to play between these time periods to get check marks to get ranked. Whatever. It's kind of weird. Just disregard it. But the watching people play live works really well. They have a working friends list system. And it's also multi-platform and cross-play across Xbox, PlayStation, mobile, PC. So it's pretty cool. It's exciting and it's blown up, which is what it deserves.
Wow.
I give that. I watch a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh content. I don't play the game that much. I just like the game a lot. So being able to like play it and have people I watch play it is really cool, and then be excited is also fun. But yeah, it's definitely check it out. It's free.
And that's
But
Konami. There
yeah,
you
it's
go.
Konami being cool
And
for
that's
once.
Konami.
That's Konami.
Metal Gear, Silent
Metal Gear.
Hill, and Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Right there, Yu-Gi-Oh!
And the great Picross like game that Dally got me into like
Yes,
at the
good
beginning of the
man.
pandemic.
Surprised that's not on Switch yet. That Picross game.
If anything, that one got me to buy the actual Picross game on Switch.
Did it? Yes. There's
Like
some
that
great.
that left an itch that the Picross game and Wordle can solve.
Wordle. So my game is Wordle. No, just kidding. I got two
My
games I've been
name's
playing.
Loodle.
Loodle. One is a Switch game, and that is SMTV. So Shin Megami Tensei 5. I went back
Put it
to
on
that.
PC so I can finish it.
Yeah, put up.
Atlas.
I started playing. I went back into that thinking, you know what? I've got to put a. My goal is to try to defeat big chunks of. I have all these giant JRPGs. So growing up, I was all about the JRPGs. That's the only game I would play, and I would beyond complete, beyond platinum back in the day. If they had platinums, I would go beyond it because I would break
Double
the game.
platinum.
Yeah, I broke Final Fantasy VII back in the day on the PlayStation to figure out the easiest ways to win at the Gold Saucer, to breed chocobos, like faster stuff that wasn't technically
Chocobos, bro. Chocobos.
Chocobo.
It's chocobos.
Sorry,
It's milk chocobos.
Milk chocobos.
Dark chocobos.
So I would sit and play one JRPG for like months. Can't do that now because I don't have the time and there's too many games. So I figured I'm going to play this game in chunks, and you can. I don't know how far either you got into it, but you can get through a bunch of story, and then all of a sudden you can fly through stuff and then hit a wall against the boss. You're like, I just got fucking murdered by the Hydra. Like the first major boss you fight is the Hydra, and that sucker killed me right away because I'm like, wait a minute, I was flying through every battle in this game, and you get to the Hydra, and I'm like, me and my team are like level 10. Level 11 each. You got to get those suckers to like at least level 15, level 16 each. So there's so much grinding you have to do in Shin Megami Tensei.
You don't have to grind.
What do you mean? I don't have to grind.
You just make a better team that like goes against their weaknesses. Do that.
Yeah, but to do that, you have to like get player. You have to get.
You have to play the game.
You have to play the
Dally.
game.
Dally can't put more than an hour a night. I know this because I actually forgot to mention this earlier. I'm playing through Persona.
Well, then guess what?
There you go.
Thursday night, you build the team. Friday night, you actually get to fight the battle.
So how did you guys build the team? How did you guys build the team? Go around. You just recruit high level enemies.
Yeah, you
right?
recruit, and then you recruit everything, so you can go fuse them to make other dudes, and then you level them up, and you.
Yeah, I mean, the thing to keep in mind is that there's a demon compendium, right? Yeah. So every time that you recruit something, it goes into the compendium automatically. So if you need space to keep recruiting, you can just boot them out, and you can restore them from the compendium at any time. Now, you might need money for that, but that's we can handle that.
It's crazy to me that there's two different like series and the same company's making them. And it's like I know what you're talking about, but I've never played them SMT game in my life.
Demon Kids or whatever it was like a spin-off of the. It's just crazy. Anyway, so Shin Megami Tensei 5. I did get past the hump of that part. I ground a little bit, and then I got
grounded.
And
grounded. That's how the whole game is. So.
Yeah, it really is. It's compendium. It's grinding enemies, and it's good stuff. The other game I've been playing, and I'm gonna stream the video right here. We mentioned Game Pass earlier, and so I started playing a game on Game Pass, and it is so fucking good. And I wouldn't have found it unless it was on Game Pass.
Cool. Yeah, no.
Nobody saves the world.
Yeah.
It's like it's Drinkbox Studios, and it's Drinkbox. Drinkbox is known for making like a lot of Metroidvania style games, like Guacamelee and a bunch of other stuff. They made Nobody Saves the World, which is like a Zelda-vania type of thing in a weird way. But what's really great about this game, besides the visuals, I love Drinkbox's visual style, especially was it Mutant Blobs, that old game that they used to make for the Vita, is that as you're this little guy, the guy named Nobody, this little like faceless dude that wakes up with amnesia, and you get like this happens 5 minutes in the game. You get dropped into a cell, and you have to figure out how to get out of this cell. Well, you have missions like these little tiny mini quests that you fill out, and the first ones are like walk around for 25 steps. Oh, you did it. You get 10 experience points, and it's like break boxes. Oh, you did that. You get another 10 experience points. Well, guess what? You've got enough experience points right now where you've opened up a whole new, they call it forms. Essentially, your character, Nobody, that's him right there, the little weird ghost looking guy, can transform into all these forms that they unlock. From, I think the first one is like a rat to horses to knights to rangers to all kinds of stuff. And you unlock all these different forms, and you can start to do different things in the world. You can go into different places. If you're a rat, you can figure out a way to get out of that cell now, because you can go through a hole in the wall, and then you become a knight right away. You know, soon
Xbox
after that,
and
you become a ranger.
only. Interesting.
Yes, for now, but
Crazy.
It's going to
That
pop
sounds
up on
fun.
everything, just like everything else does. It's so much fun, and it's so lighthearted. It's got great writing. Just download it and play. I mean, we always talk about. I mean, we could do like a Game Pass Indie of the Week segment every week, because there are always some great games that pop up. I mean, you guys talked about Gunk last week. Death's Door has been around for a little while too. I think I've played that before. I reviewed that and I liked it. But yeah, Nobody Saves the World. It's scratching at it. It's a Drinkbox take on the Zelda adventure style. I freaking love it, and definitely.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah,
because I actually didn't.
So quick too.
I didn't know the Drinkbox had made a new game.
Yeah, and it's great because it's got that. It's the mobile game style of quests, which is break 25 crates, get a star. Do this, get a star, and you get that. And which is very influenced by the way mobile games get you to do stuff, but it works fantastically. That's how you get experience points in this game. Isn't from just killing enemies getting experience, but from doing these little quests. It's great.
Yeah,
it's great story.
It's really fun being
Great
like,
character.
like poison 10 enemies and then use this attack 10 times, and then you get points to go to the next form. And it's like, so it's like fun being able to pick and choose. Like, I'm gonna play this guy right now and go do this. And some forms can fit through certain places, others can, or do things others. So it's like, it's really cool. It's like it's not something I'm in the mood for right now, so I put it on the back burner. But it's definitely something I'm going to go back to because I enjoyed like the hour I played of it.
Yeah, same here. I played about an hour of it, and I don't think the game is super long either, which is great. But what I really enjoy about it is it gets you to go back because you're like, oh crap, I can talk to these characters, which I couldn't talk to before as a human. Now I can talk to them as an animal or something. And I can open up this wall, which I saw at the very beginning or at this other part of the level. I can go back to this and figure this out too. So there's a lot of fun things that you can do with this game. Just the idea of being able to switch forms instead of just learning spells, I think, is a really cool way to go after this. Nobody Saves the World. Highly recommend it. It's my game of the week, of the month, of the year. So,
dang.
And that's basically it. We've got the hour and 40 minutes here. We got the Taylor time past that hour and a half on a beautiful Friday night. It was great.
There's too much Activision conversation to have.
I know. We did.
This was inevitable.
The fact that you were both like that, you had this conversation twice.
Yeah, I was gonna say
the same week.
Dude, I feel like if a new person walked in the room, I could have it again right now. Yeah, it's just like it occupies so much of my brain.
I had it so many times with people at work because like I'm the only person who's like a gamer, like a person who like in the scene and like keeps up to date with stuff. I was like freaking out at work. I was like, dude, did you hear the news? And they're like,
I mentioned to my daughter, I go, hey, did you know Activision or Microsoft Xbox bought Activision? She goes, do they make Roblox? I go, no. She said, do they make Fortnite? No. Do they make Cookie Run Kingdom? No. She's like, I don't care about that.
Do they make Cookie Run? Not yet. They haven't acquired them yet.
I'm like,
always leave that door open.
But
when the news broke
Yeah.
My girlfriend, was about to leave for work. I looked at my phone. I was like, "Oh shit!" And I walked back into the bedroom and told my girlfriend, "Dude, Xbox bought Activision Blizzard is so crazy." And then I left. But it's like I just had to tell someone, like, "Oh my god, what is this? This is crazy."
I got
Yeah,
sent.
I like shot up out of bed for it. I was like, "Holy
Yeah.
crap! What?"
I was in a meeting. I was in a conference call, and somebody sent me the tweet announcing it was the article link to the Xbox Wire, and I'm like, no, this is an April
It's a
Fool's joke.
dream.
It's not real. First, I went through the process. First of all, I got to check if this is actually linking to a Microsoft website.
Yeah,
It's like not dated from 2011. Then I got to check all the references. I'm like, oh shit, this is actually real.
Dad did everything short of emailing the Xbox press people. Be like, "Yo, it's not a joke, right?"
Short of emailing this guy. Right there.
Look at that smile.
You can find us at sidequesting.com. You can find us individually. I'm at Dolly Domofsky. That's at OKQuest, at Taylor Bliss. Rexley, you gotta start putting at Air Design.
I need to. I'm so bad at that. I need to do that next time.
You can find that link in there, and you can find Phil at Xbox P3 right there. Come to the show anytime, Phil. We'll crack a few Trulies, and we'll be buddies. Let me hide the logo. There we go. Hide our logo there so we can see on there. Good times. Here, jingle bells. All right, that's it, everybody. We love you. We'll see you on the next episode of The Side Quest. Bye, everybody.